In this video clip, we're going to look at the sales order or invoicing side of the process. And so if we look at this flowchart overall, we're kind of looking at the bottom third of this diagram, and we're focusing on the sales order part of it. Now, we can jump directly to a quick invoice, and I'll kind of briefly mention that. But basically what we want to show is that an item is required to process a sales order. You don't necessarily have to have a work order or the manufacturing order. The items could already be in stock. If they're already in stock, then the manufacturing order is not required to connect to the sales order. But if it's not in stock, you can convert it to a manufacturing order, and therefore, go through the materials and labor and all those things to get that item into stock for the sales process. We do a shipment from a sales order. That's the activity that basically says, okay, this item has left the building. From that, we generate an invoice, and then it flows on to the receivables. So let's go ahead and open up under sales, the orders, and we're going to do a new sales order. And typically we want a sales order to reflect the information that of the what the customer has on the invoice, or excuse me, not the invoice, the purchase order, and so it's reflect that internally in our system. Now we do give you certain options for reminders, like this one is the customer is on credit hold. We also have it where you can pop up historical notes as to things that you've talked to that customer, or recorded conversation, or information or reminders to them. When you pick the customer, that information can come up. So in this case, we're going to just sell 10 of an item of a block. It's 1037. And if you don't know the number, we also give you an option to give a lookup screen for that. We give you a lead time calculator based on the information in the system as to when that is. In this case, we're going to ship 10. It looked up the price of the item. You can override the price of the item if it's slightly different. We enter the quantity, ordered quantity 10. At this point, we can add a discount, due date, some other notes, line note information. This information print on invoice. You can add notes as to what it is, or information, all those kind of things. And there's a lot more we can talk about in greater detail other times with conditions and such like that. We also have salespersons per information on a sales order. We can add a deposit if a customer prepays. Of course, we use our document attachment methodology throughout the system, where you can add a document to it. These are general notes that you want to communicate to the customer. And we also have a data log, so you can see who's changed what on the order. So here we have our basic order from our warehouse information. In this case, we don't know what the freight is at this time, so we've just entered what it is. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go straight to shipments in this case. So we're going to go to sales and shipments. And a lot of times we use the shipments process to for the warehouse clerk, or for the paperwork coming back from the person in the shipping dock, to process the information back into the system that, yes, the item has left the building. So we're going to say new, and then we're going to pick the order. Easy, there's only one in this database. We're going to go across it. It brings in who the order's to, the amount remaining. We can click a button to hit remaining. It moves it over if there's many lines. We can change the freight. Now that we have an actual freight dollar amount, so we can change that. We can change, carrier changed as to how it was sent. Those kind of pieces of information. We can check the value of it. as to see what the value of the shipment is, $242, and then we can say OK. So now you have the choice of printing that shipment with a pack slip, print pack slip, those kind of things to show its thing, or we can check that it's been printed and skip that step as well. So at this point now we can post this shipment, post just this one, and it's going to prompt us to open up the AR invoice list. And so now we have this invoice to Billy's Bikes for these 10 blocks, and at this point we can, somebody maybe more on the accounting side can approve it, make sure everything looks good, and go ahead and print it just with a right click print that specific invoice, or you can print all unprinted invoices. Of course, all these forms can be modified and changed to add logos and make it look how you want. And then we can post that invoice. And so we say OK. So now that's posted and on the accounts receivable. You also have an option here, and I won't go through in great detail, but if it's something that's like a Kanban or something where there's no real pack slip, you can go directly from AR invoices and just say new and pick a customer, enter an item, and invoice directly for it. So it's also good for some of the things like miscellaneous charges where you're charging somebody rent, or if they're subletting, or reoccurring charges, those kind of things. So you can skip the sales order and shipment process and go directly to the invoice process. And of course, most of this we're predicating that we had those parts in stock, so we're kind of skipping the work order or manufacturing order process on this example.